For a long time, I wanted to talk about, the psychic field and doing readings because there's so much that people don't realize about the psychic world. I think they're very misinformed. And when I was a little kid, I was about 7, 8 years old. I witnessed a bunch of children playing baseball, and I pointed to a kid, one of the kids, and I said, "You see that person with the red around them?" I said, "They seem to be jumping around, and the one with the green seems to be very calm." And the young kid looked at me and he said, "What are you talking about, red and green?" I said, "The one that has the red stuff around him, not the green stuff around him." And I didn't realize it, but I was seeing auras. And that was the beginning of the perceptions that I had. I basically started as a psychic, and I attended a psychic group, and I was buying a bunch of used books from a secondhand bookstore in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And from those books, it was a lot of them were written by Cairo, who was known as Count Lewis Harmon. He was famous for writing books on palmistry and numbers and things like that. And I had read all his books, and I guess I became a devoted fan. I attended a group of psychic people, and it was in Hillsborough, New Jersey. And I was asked by the person, Thelma Venwert, to read these books and to give a talk on numerology. And I said, well, I didn't know anything about numerology. I was just a psychic. And she said, well, study the books, and next week you can give a talk on it. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I read the books and I gave a talk, and she had said to me that I got things out of the book that nobody else had ever gotten, that she read all those books and never got out of those books what I got out of those books, because I started doing what I call event predictive analysis, which is when people's lives are going to change, and that's always been my specialty. And in the 1970s, it was kind of the golden age of the psychic. Psychics prior to that were behind closed doors, and in the 70s, they were starting to go out into shopping malls. And I became a part of that era, and I went under the name Alan Vee. I was a psychic, and my name was actually AlanVenturella. And people would, I just had Alan Vee, a V with a period, and they said, well, what's your name? I said Vee. And I became known as Alan Vee. And it was like a psychic academia, the psychic malls. They would have 30, 40 psychics, and you'd have a crystal ball reader, a tea reader, a tarot card reader, a regular card reader, a numerologist. Somebody would be reading rune stones, and I knew a lady that read flowers, and so forth and so on. And it was a very competitive situation. Initially, I just wanted to be a psychic, but you were better off being what they call multi-skilled. And I met a lot of old-time psychics, and I learned their lessons. I learned lessons from them. Some of them were born in Europe, and they were older than I was. They were 70 or so when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I learned a lot from them. They talked to me. I remember these two young guys telling me, stay away from this guy. He's mean. And I stood away from him, and after a week he called me over and he said that I knew my business, he said, and the others were clowns. He said he didn't want any part of them. And I got a tarot card reading from him, and I found out he was like the dean of Kabbalistic card readers, and he knew the numbers and the pictographs on the cards by heart, and it was very interesting the way he depicted tarot cards. It's not what people think it is. I became multi-skilled. Eventually, I got into handwriting and numbers and palms and everything else. And it was a very competitive situation, and you were better off being multi-skilled. And on the flyers I had, it would say that there would be a combination reading of palms and cards and handwriting and names and so forth. And I was wondering why these older ladies were bringing me their combs. They thought it was a comb reading, C-O-M-B, and that's just a joke. But it became a winning combination. And the people that just did the psychic, it was too undependable. And when you were multi-skilled as well as psychic, and people seem to think it's one or the other. It's not. It's a combination. After a while, the line between the psychic and the tool or the methods that you're using evaporates, and you cross the line so much that the line doesn't exist anymore, and you become what they call a multi-skilled psychic.